Let us pray. Father God, Lord, we just thank you for this night, Father. We just thank you for this opportunity to be here, Lord. And so, Lord God, we come to you tonight, Father, and we're just asking you to give our counsel and here tonight, Father, the words of wisdom and knowledge, Lord God, to be able to lead our time, to be able to lead it the way that you'd have it to lead, Father, that you just work through them tonight, Lord. And Lord God, we just come to you as Jehovah Jireh, as a God provision, Father, because, Lord, there's so many needs within our town limits, Father. And so, Lord God, we're asking you to open up the doors and windows of heaven, Father, and shower them down more abundantly like never before. And we give you the praise, glory, and honor for it all and through it all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll go ahead and have that presentation now before we start.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you honoring my request to be able to do this very special ceremony at the beginning of the council meeting tonight. We have a new officer we'd like to swear in front of the council. And Mayor, if you would. All right, raise your right hand. August Allen Coker Boatman, having been duly appointed a police officer of the town of Packlet and a peace officer of the state of South Carolina, do you solemnly swear that you will defend, obey, and enforce the Constitution and laws of the United States, of the state of South Carolina, and the ordinances of the town of Packlet, that you will obey the orders of your superior officers and the policies and procedures of the Packlet Police Department, that you will protect the lives, rights, and property of all people and uphold the honor of the police profession and the community that puts their trust in you?
I do solemnly swear.
Welcome aboard. Thanks, sir. And if council, if you would, I'll just go ahead and give my report now. It's very short and sweet. 164 calls for service, 1,389 officer-initiated events. That's exactly what we like to see. Call volume is going down and officer activity is going up. No real crime trims that I feel like I need to put in front of you guys or put out to the public at this point. Still kind of moving along at a great pace and doing well. So any questions I can answer for anybody before I sit down? Thank you guys all for your support. It means a lot. The guys notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a presentation of the annual audit. Love Bailey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a little bit taller.
Yeah.
Hope you all doing well tonight. It's always nice to get out here and see your great town. I love the meal history around here, which y'all doing here. It looks fantastic. So I'm here to present your 2024 audit. Good news is the audit went really well. We issued an unmodified opinion with no findings. So that's, most of the time, that's just that people consider that to be a clean opinion. So that's the opinion that the town wants to receive when you're sending off your audit report down to the state. So good job there. We didn't have any issues getting through everything. Really, everyone here worked with our auditors really well to get all the document and the backup that we needed. And you should have the audit report in front of you, which is 50 or 60 pages. So I like to give you this summary and go over that. That seems to go over a lot better than going page by page through the big audit report. Plus, the audit report's just 1 year, and I like to see a couple years. We've audited the last 2 years, so I have a 2-year comparison here, just so you can kind of see how the 2 years lined up and trends. And I think we have a couple-year contract with you, and so next year I can present a 3-year. I just like to see trends and see how the town's doing and the direction that the town's going in, and you're doing really well. So I'll start here. You can see the revenues, the top section. In 2024, you finished just over $2 million in revenue, which was up over $500,000 from 2023, up about 40%. There were several things for that. I believe property taxes was up, reassessment year had some of that increase. Big increase there in license and permits. You know, Municipal Association collects a good bit of that and remits that back to you, and that was up over $100,000. You'll also notice as you're moving down, $250,000 grant for building renovation that you received from the state. So that helped the revenue line this year. And then you'll notice the ARPA, the ARPA, that money, obviously you've collected that a couple years ago, but you only record it as revenue when you spend it. So in fiscal year 24, you spent $191,000 of the ARPA dollars, so that's why it's recorded as 191 there. And then another good thing to point out, the interest. You know, you decided to, you know, not have as much in your general non-interest-bearing checking account and move more of it to the state investment pool and are benefiting from the good interest rates. So you can see you had almost $104,000 in interest last year, which was up from $41,000 the previous year. And then the last number, the other category, that's up $60,000 was restitution payments that you had received in fiscal year 2024. So you were up over $550,000 in revenue from 23 to 24. But your expenses were also up. The expenses were up about $600,000, and half of that was salary and benefits, with the police force being the vast majority of that increase. A few other things that were up from last year from 23 to 24, professional fees were up about $60,000. Some of that was the comprehensive plan that you paid for in fiscal year 24, as well as some accounting that you had used in fiscal year 24 to help get 23 ready for audit. So you're probably not going to see that same expense going into next year. Also, code enforcement using RCI, South Carolina, that was about $86,000 of additional expenses in fiscal year 24. But overall, you can see your operating income was very close to the same as 23. It was $451,000. You want that number to be positive because you want positive cash flow from operations, because what's left over helps you with capital outlay, it helps pay down debt service, it also helps you to put some funds in reserve. So it's good to see that positive number there, which was about a 25% operating income percentage. So it's a good percentage there. And then down in your other uses there, you'll see capital outlay was a little over $200,000. Half of that was infrastructure. You also bought some vehicles, 2 vehicles, as well as starting some renovation on this building. That was where you spent that money. The debt service was $53,000. You're down to about $150,000 on the note at the end of the fiscal year. And then the asset sale obviously added a revenue of $350,000. So your net income, your change in fund balance there at the bottom, you'll see was $542,000. So more than double what it was in fiscal year 23. So that was positive net income. And then you'll see those percentages. That's just where you're spending your money. So you can see payroll, you spent right at 54 cents on the dollar goes to payroll. To give you some reference, on some of the other municipalities, the same similar size, you're probably on the lower side, actually. A lot of them are 60 and even into the 70 cents on the dollar goes to payroll. So you're actually a little bit on the lower side at 54 cents on the dollar. And then you can see the other percentages there: utilities, insurance, professional fees, repairs, maintenance, landscaping. So those 5 categories, that's about 81 cents of every dollar you spend. Not any, as we're looking through it, there wasn't anything that like any fluff, just normal operating cost of the town that looks very similar to a lot of the other municipalities that we audit. If you flip over, and if you have a question, please just stop me and I'll be glad to answer. But the next page is your balance sheet. Just kind of shows you your assets and liabilities of the town at the end of fiscal year 24. And you'll see the first line there, the first 2 is the cash and then the investments. The combination of those 2 is 2.26 million, which was up from 1.8 million at the end of fiscal year 23. And that represents about 16 months of cash on hand. So what I'm saying is if you didn't collect another dollar just based on fiscal year 24 operating expenditures, you would have about 16 months of cash on hand, which is really a good sign of financial strength. When we're talking with the municipalities, we always want that number to be a minimum of 3, but we like it to be closer to 6 months because, as you know, you're going to go into the red the first part of the year because your property taxes, business license, a lot of those fees get collected on the back half of your fiscal year. So you got to have cash to manage the first half of the fiscal year. So you're doing really well there. You will notice it says ARPA there, $270,000. That's how much you have remaining of the ARPA dollars that's setting up there in the cash investments. And so most of that money is probably going to be earmarked for one-time projects and not operations. So when you factor that in, that brings you down a little bit closer to more like 12 to 13 months of cash on hand, which is still a very healthy number. But we often share with municipalities, as you know, a new truck or a new construction project, you can spend $250,000 very, very quickly. And so you're in a good, healthy position. Your debt, like I said, it's $50,000, that $50,064, that's next year's payment, fiscal year 25's payment. And then $98,000 is the next couple of years. So you're at about $150,000 in debt, really not much. Your assets are way higher than your current liabilities. So you're very liquid as a town. And then you'll see the pension went down a little bit to $589,000. And as you know, that's the state retirement pension out of Columbia that's underfunded by I think it's about $25 billion. And so every participant in that plan gets an allocation that's done out of Columbia, and that's the number that you get assigned. Nothing that you can do about it. We just have to report it on your books. You're not paying any debt payments toward that or anything. So, but ultimately, you'll see your unrestricted fund balance doubled from $546,000 in 23 to 1.1 million in 24. So the reason I mentioned that's unrestricted, meaning that gives you access to use those funds when you're budgeting how you want to use them. They're not restricted for any particular item. So overall, when you look at your balance sheet, like I said, it's very liquid, not much debt. When you look at your ratio of current assets to current liabilities, it's about 8 or 9 to 1, which if you go out to get debt financing, most banks are happy and want to see a 2 to 1 ratio. So a 9 to 1 ratio, it just shows a good sign of financial strength and liquidity. So everything went really well. The town's doing really well from the financial side of things. We didn't have any problems with, like I said, with the processes or getting any information and backup support for the audit. So doing a good job. Any questions? Can I answer anything for you? So that's a lot of information to get thrown at it once.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Well, unfortunately, I got to go back and file tax returns.
Okay.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. We didn't have any comments, did we? Okay. Need approval of minutes of February 1st, 2025.
Motion to approve minutes, February 1st, 2025.
Motion made and second, approve the minutes of February 1st, 2025. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Need approval of minutes February 6th, 2025.
Motion to approve minutes of February 6th, 2025.
Motion made and second, approve the minutes of February 6th, 2025. All in favor? Okay. All right. Department reports. Town administrator.
In the interest of time, I'm only going to hit some highlights on here. Just want to let y'all know there's a pole attachment agreement, or pole attachment, I'm sorry. We're putting new banners on all the lights at the traffic circle.
That's what that is, yeah.
There's 6 lights around the traffic circle that are down here, and we've already talked to DOT. We're going to put brackets on those. In the past, they were kind of shorter banners. These will be 84 inches in length, much taller than the other ones, so you'll see them much clearer than in the past. But just want to let you know, before I move forward on that, it'll come out of hospitality funds that are on there. We are in budget season, and I need to know if y'all would like to have a work session for that specifically, or if you would like to just incorporate it as part of your next couple council meetings.
We have had a work session in the past, right?
You have in the past, yes.
Yeah. What do y'all think? I think we should.
What I'll do is I'll work with the clerk and assistant clerk to reach out to you and to try to find another night, possibly another Thursday night, that y'all can come in and just discuss the budget. And I'll get you a copy of the budget as well as a statement that shows any updates or changes, that sort of thing, so you'll have an advanced copy of that. And so we'll spend that meeting just discussing the budget.
Okay.
That's all I have. I also had included in there the, one second. I had included in there the finances through January 31. Let me know if you have any questions on those.
We had discussed something that you wanted to go into further depth on. I believe it was it with Pope Flynn, a meeting? I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember, but it was in your report here.
The Pope Flynn, so as of right now, the town has, Gary Frost is your current town attorney. That was set back when, I think, Mayor Meisner was here, I believe.
Yeah.
Pope Flynn is, I mean, they're very well known for being well-versed in municipal law. They represent most of the attorneys, or, I'm sorry, they represent most of the towns in this jurisdiction. So they had reached out and said they provided me an engagement letter. I can send that to you and let you look at that. But that would be up to you if you want to move forward or look at cost differences between the two. The reason I had reached out to Pope Flynn was they specialize in bond counsel. So as the town looks to loan money, they're excellent as it goes to bond counsel. They were the ones who provided the bond, the general obligation bond for the town for the cloth room. That was the main reason I'd reached out to him, and while I had him on the phone, I had several other questions that he was very well versed in, so.
What number was that? I'm totally lost. Number 26.
Number 26.
Okay. Totally lost.
Gary does a great job with our community. Pope Flynn's just very well known for their
So
experience
you're
in
looking
municipal
to
law.
hire another attorney besides Gary Frost, is that what you're saying?
Ma'am?
Or we're looking,
Yes.
you're looking
Well,
to
we
let
compare them.
Gary Frost, okay, let it go and hire somebody else? Is
That
what
would be
you're
up to
saying?
y'all.
So how did that come up?
I reached out to Pope Flynn, I reached out to CD Rhodes, and I talked to them as it relates to bond counsel. That's not something that Gary does. So I talked to them about bond counsel. The town has used them in the past for a bond, the general obligation bond. And while I was talking to him, he said, would y'all be interested in an engagement letter? And I said, that's up to council. So he sent me something. If y'all would like to see a copy of that, you're welcome to.
How quickly do you need to move on that?
Sir?
How soon do you want to act on that?
Why is it urgent?
There's no urgency to it. I mean, that's just up to council if they want to do it. The town does not have a current contract with any attorney.
Okay.
All right.
Is that all you have?
That's all I have.
Okay. Code enforcement, y'all see that? All right. We have and with CC&I, we will have a report on that too.
Yes, you'll have a report once, they have begun, however, your reports right now are delayed a month. So I believe this is January's report, you'll get a February report, and then you'll also get once we get into March, you'll get that. And I'll talk to CC&I, they may be able to provide it a little bit quicker. One of the issues that we run into is sometimes our council meetings are the first few days of the month. And in that case, having a report for the previous month sometimes is a little bit difficult to acquire. We also do the same thing with our financial, because we're not able to have our financials that quickly either.
Any questions on that? Okay, police chief, he gave us a report just before he left. Anything on that? Okay, we'll go on to board, commission, and committees. Consider the appointment of the construction board of appeals and adjustments. We need 5 members. Do we have any members at all?
I have no members. I just wanted to make a reminder, as of right now, we do not have anybody that's on this board. When we had the contractors meeting, the recent contractors meeting with CC&I to kind of introduce them to our contractors here, I did pass out the applications to all of them, and there may be some interest from that group.
Have you received any applications?
I have not received any.
Rick, did you
I didn't get to pass that along last night, but I have one guy that attends church with me that's an electrician. He is interested in being on the board. And I will pass the application on to him Sunday.
If we can, we need to fill this board, if we're not going to fill it, I don't know, do we, I mean, we agreed to have this board, but I mean, do we have to have it?
Yes. This is, so if anybody wants to appeal any of the decisions of CC&I, this is the opportunity for them to do so.
Well, we need to come up with some people to go on this then. It's our responsibility, so we need to come up with some names. If we can find somebody, if you know anybody, we need to get them to fill out an application.
And it don't have to be in the city.
No, they don't have to be in the city.
They just have to have 5 years of construction experience.
Who's receiving the applications? Is that going through Tony or?
It would come to myself, and I'll just review them and make sure that all of their experiences matches up, as long as they have the experience that's required, and they're located in the town of Packlet. You'll see it on your next agenda to
They don't have
vote
to be
on.
in the town of Packlet, do they?
Sir?
No, just in the county.
In the county, right?
I just need to verify they live in the county, correct?
Okay. All right. Okay, we need to work on that. Okay, unfinished business, consider the second reading ordinance flood damage prevention. You had something on that for us, Patrick?
Yes, I spoke to Packlet, Milliken, and Lockhart Power. I sent them a copy of this after our last council meeting. They have reviewed it, and there's a couple items that they would like to add, and they've asked to give more time, so I'm requesting that y'all table this to the next council meeting.
I'll make a motion to table it.
A second.
Motion made and second to table this to the next session. Any questions?
Well, I just want to say, I read some stuff about the swimming pool. I mean, there's stuff in here that really doesn't apply to us. Do we not go through it to make,
I had them-
or it's just, we just copy and take somebody else's, like, general stuff? I don't.
I had DNR provide what they have used in other communities for this, what they need to have in here, and so they sent this over to me. We updated it with making sure that the name of the town of Packlet was used on there. This is directly from DNR.
I mean, but would we still use it even though some of the stuff in here doesn't apply to us?
It could apply to us in the future.
Just talking about some, like a swimming pool.
We got a motion second to table. Any questions, any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. New business. Consider a resolution to adopt the 2025 goals of the town of Packard.
These are the goals that were discussed and approved at the retreat. It is now in resolution form for council to consider approving these for 2025.
Motion to approve the resolution to adopt the 2025 goals of the town of Packlet.
Second.
Motion made and second to adopt the goals, the 2025 goals for town of Packard. Any questions, any comments? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. B, consider awarding the contract for the repair of the fishing pier.
The lowest bid that was on here was $25,800. Reached out to council to provide some input on there. Mr. Camby and Mr. Brackens came by. We reviewed the information, scored them, and the one that came with the best score was Destination Dock at $25,800. Reached out to the individual to verify that he understood what the project was and that he could accomplish it for the amount of money that he had on there. And he felt confident that he could. He saw the other docks that were out there. He said it's very straightforward. It's not a problem that he can do this. He'll sign a contract to complete the project. Prior to starting, I'm working with the Appalachian Council of Governments to acquire a PARD grant, a Parks and Recreation Department grant, to try to cover some of this cost on here. Whatever cost is not covered by the grant would end up being covered by hospitality. The other thing that we're going to be doing this time as a measure to make sure that we're not having to do this again is we'll be getting insurance on both the docks. So if this happens in the future, we'll have insurance to cover the cost of replacing these.
Was he confident about the time frame as far as Pal the Packlet's concerned?
2 weeks from the time that he is notified.
Wow. Okay.
Remember, with all of your bids, what I end up doing is if council approves this, I take this bid sheet, I put it on the website. There's 15 days for protest bids, for anybody else to not like the bids or just an opportunity to say whatever they want to say. After 15 days, the contractor signs a contract, the mayor signs, and he begins.
Motion to approve contract with Destination Dock.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve Destination Dock to repair the docks, the fishing docks. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider the resolution to invoke the pending ordinance doctrine.
What this is as of right now, the town of Packlet currently is using the zoning ordinance that was passed back in 2007 and amended up through 2014. The town is currently going through a new zoning process. What this does is prevents anyone from coming in now while the town is going through this process and trying to pass things that are in violation of the new ordinance but work with the current ordinance. And so this keeps developers or property owners from doing things that it's in violation of what the new ordinance would be about.
I've got some concerns. Seems like, well, a couple concerns. you know, we've got this process, which is very slow and frustrating at times, but I understand, as you explained it to me, Patrick, that the idea is to slow things down so the town can be involved, people can be aware. I feel like this circumvents that to some degree. There's also the issue of, you know, we're writing laws, but they're not laws yet. To act as if they are laws, again, kind of circumvents that process. Also, and maybe even bigger issue, especially after being at the Planning Commission meetings, is it gives no incentive for the Planning Commission to get this process done. We've had time. We've been at this for months and months and months. Votes have been delayed. If we are going to be slow about this and not do what, this should have been updated years ago probably, I don't think we should be holding up people that want to get work done in the town. There's also the issue of this may not pass, or it may pass amended. This may not be the final. To use it, you know, with hopes that this new zoning ordinance is the final, that's, seems odd to me. You know, we don't exactly have a lot of people on the commission agreeing on things, so it's tricky to figure out what's actually going to be the final form of this. I'm not super passionate either way on it, but I'm leaning towards this presents like a lot of problems. Seems like it kind of circumvents the whole process. Does anyone else share that, or am I alone on that?
You have some questions?
Well, in what it may be, just like I am, and I'm sure like they are, they're just ordinary citizens. You know, some people may have more experience or have more knowledge of it. You know, and I think, and just like me sometimes when we have things up here, I like to have a time to educate myself on it. And stuff like this shouldn't be rushed through. You know, because this is going to be the base right here where everything else comes from, as far as the comprehensive plan, master plan, and all that stuff. So I think everybody needs to educate themselves and be aware of what it is that they are really passing.
Well, I would never
I don't
advocate rushing. Just saying this would basically enact it before they've made a decision. It would basically say everything's on pause, or we're going to act as if this is already passed, and then.
Yeah, I don't like this myself either. Pending.
With this-
Can you even do this? Can you do something that is pending?
Is it legal? It seems.
Yes,
Because
so.
there could be changes either way, and then you don't know which is the right one to do. It's quite confusing.
So if you have a project that right now is located, or if you're wanting to develop a project that's currently residential, that you're planning on, the town's planning on, or has been talking about through the steering committee, through the future land use map, for the last 2 years on the direction of where you want to go, what ends up happening is all it says is until council has the first and second reading, which you're going to have your first reading at the next meeting and your second reading at the May meeting, that it just holds off until everything is passed, so that you don't have projects that people are trying to rush through to get through that are in violation of what the town has put in place.
So what if it's tabled? How long can this be is this indefinite? I don't know if I saw in here if there's a time limit.
You could always rescind it if you end up going too long with your first and second readings on there. But as soon as your first and second,
But we have to wait until the zoning, the planning commission passes.
so the way it works is the planning commission has a meeting on the 12th after a public hearing. If the planning commission passes it, or if the planning commission denies it, it still comes to you at the next council meeting. The planning commission is only making recommendations to council. You do not have to take what they recommend.
And,
No, it's
but
such
with
a gray area.
this right here would, be, out of effect when we pass that, is that what you're saying too?
What I'm saying is if you passed it, and if somebody wanted to do something that currently works with this, they could not. They would have to do something that currently works with this.
Okay, but,
Or they would just hold off until this gets passed.
Well, I thought that's what we had initially talked about anyway, is not getting anything done until we did get the zoning ordinances redone.
And that is exactly what the thing talks, that is what invoking that means. So I think y'all remember a while back when you were hesitant about approving something until the comprehensive plan was done.
Well, I thought that was the whole deal when the comprehensive, when we were doing the
Right.
comprehensive plan, and the master plan was not doing any of this
Right.
until that was completed and until that was done.
Right.
So this is, to me, is like a,
What it is they cannot do anything that is, until this is done.
I think Ms. Sexton, I think you're talking about what council has to approve. This would apply to all construction from anybody in town.
yes, yeah, I understand.
Would basically have to adhere to the new unapproved zoning ordinance. That's the problem I have, is one is law currently, the other is maybe probably soon should be law.
The construction would still, as long as they were in a residential area, they could still move forward on all the construction projects.
But then what if?
Why
it's,
doesn't it apply to residential?
Because most of the area that you currently have as residential stays residential.
Oh, only, yeah, right, only the areas that conflict with the new.
Yeah, there's,
Right.
as far as the neighborhood, what is that, edge,
Yeah.
neighborhood general, that's buttoned up to the urban center, all that stuff around there is like,
So I'll give you an example. Remember when they came at the last meeting and they talked about the people from Crescent Street and they didn't want the multiplexes or the triplexes?
right.
If you pass the thing that's in front of you, they can't, because the new ordinance does not allow it, and they'd have to do single-family residence.
Like, well, isn't that what we say, that we didn't want to, you didn't want to put a 3 condo place into a already established residential area?
But your zoning for that area is commercial
right now.
right now. That is what this thing says right here, is it says that it's commercial, and they can put that triplex at that location.
That's the
And
new,
then, and this,
That's the old one.
oh,
The new one says, no, you can't do that.
and this right here,
And it's,
you can't do it until the others.
this is super confusing. I understand what you're saying. But why would it be zoned commercial anyway when there was houses all down through that street?
you'll,
That's the way it was before.
you'll have to ask the people who passed it back in 2007.
We wasn't around then. That's what the ordinance is now.
It's close enough to what they were hoping would be an expanding business district. Unfortunately, that business district did not expand.
Yeah,
Or fortunately, depending on who you ask.
Why would you want to put commercial stuff back there?
Well, that's what they did back then
Well,
in
this-
2007.
And that's
Zoning is for future.
We're
You're
fixing
planning
that.
for future, yeah.
with the new ordinance.
I don't know, I just think it's still kind of a gray area. I mean, I understand, yeah, that wouldn't let that happen.
It's whatever is currently in your zoning ordinance. The whole reason that y'all went through this entire process, because there were things in the current zoning ordinance that you didn't like, which is why that you wanted to go ahead and create a new zoning ordinance. And what this says is, while we're on the precipice of passing a new zoning ordinance, which you get to determine what's in there, that while we're going through that last couple steps on there, that you can't do anything that we that you can do in this current ordinance.
So it just puts everything on hold.
It just puts it on hold for a month or two, however long it takes until y'all pass the first and second reading of the zoning ordinance.
Which is around May.
Yeah.
We're talking May, on the second.
But if there's a project,
Something about somebody could still continue to their construction, what was that?
they can, as long as what they're wanting to do works with the new zoning ordinance, then they're fine. And most of the properties around here are renovating existing homes, or they're putting homes in residential areas, which is perfectly fine. The only issue is where you have the conflicts, where the new zoning ordinance is changing an area, like for instance, that area, which is currently commercial, and changing it to residential. It's saying that no one during this time, even though the current zoning ordinance allows for it, we're in the process right now of changing the zoning ordinance to what we really wanted, and you need to hold off until this is done.
That's what that says right there.
It's only in areas of conflict where a zone's being changed from one to the other.
But they could also potentially move forward with something that is currently not allowed, if it was allowed in the new. So it would stop
one
some
example would be
people and
is
allow
that
other people.
that property owner who's wanting to, that has the triplexes, he actually would like to do single-family residential out there.
I think he's got it up for sale now.
He does.
He's looking, he's told me he wants to do single-family residential, but he can't because it's commercial.
Yeah, right now, I think he's trying to sell it double for what it paid.
But if he wanted to develop it as residential, he could. If y'all,
If someone comes in and asks to start a project that the current ordinances do not allow, but is consistent with the proposed new ordinance, you would give him all his permits and approvals, and he could break ground in hopes that council votes for it. And then if something happens on council and we don't vote for it or change it, he's taking that risk and he's stuck.
once you've started that project, it doesn't matter what y'all do. Once you've started that project, it's been approved. It's
So
called the
he
vested.
could actually move forward with something that would not legal in the old or new, if, with this ordinance.
If you start a project now with the current ordinance, you have what's called the Vested Rights Act, which means that I'm starting this project, it's currently commercial, and I'm doing a commercial project, and I'm going to continue that commercial project, and it may take me 3 or 4 years to do it, but I started the project when this was here. I can continue to move forward with that, even if you change the zoning during the process.
I'm talking about the flip side of that, though. If he is looking at the new proposed ordinances, he can come to you and get a permit as if those have already been approved, and he can start construction even though they're not approved? Or does it not work in that, only the other way? Because that's a huge risk. I mean, I don't know anyone that would do it, but he could. And then what happens if we either scrap it altogether or change that, he's broken ground as if we were going to approve it. Can he continue, or she? Can they continue? Because then it would be non-conforming in both documents. It seems like a kind of dubious.
Yeah, I think you would have to wait because you could,
Because you're going against the law.
because at that point, council could change.
So it's a one-way street. So people can be stopped, but people can't be approved based on what's coming. Interesting.
I reckon we would just have to see that no one is right in the middle of doing something now. Then it should be safe.
I don't know that.
If they've already started,
Okay, it's already approved.
Yeah, if they already admit it, but they can't start it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that actually outlined in here? Or is that not addressed? Seems like it's not a precedence I would like to set, where it's like,
Here, that all building permits for zoning approvals are held in abeyance until the new zoning ordinance.
Where you
says-
at, Tony?
No building or permit, zoning approvals, or other official municipal action shall be issued or taken that would establish any vested rights or otherwise authorize any land use inconsistent with the pending zoning ordinance and zoning map. So,
sounds like they could do it then, because if they are consistent with the pending zoning, they could go ahead.
They could,
I see a
based
lot of
on-
problems. I see benefits to this, and I see the times when this could be useful, but I see more problems than, I don't like the idea of like kind of jumping ahead of the process.
It's saying right here, you have to hold them until the new one's in, right here.
but there's this other section where it says that as long as if it's not inconsistent with the pending zoning ordinance.
So you would look against what is pending.
Based on what this language on here says, that what is pending in here,
The new,
as long as it matched with this, then you could go ahead and move forward.
So this is an extreme example, but if we decided to rezone a neighborhood commercial and Walmart wanted to drop a Walmart in the neighborhood, and council, they could break ground on that, and then council could be like, whoa, that's a crazy idea, let's not approve that. They could continue to build their Walmart. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, that's an extreme example, but
To me, I think it's extreme because you've already, the new zoning map is based off of the comprehensive plan and the future land use that y'all already approved.
right. That's just for illustration purposes, but it does provide a
We need,
potentially interesting chain of events.
well, we got two, it's going, this is going to be just 2 months, so I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of things happening in those 2 months. You know, we're not going to have a flood of things, and if it does come up with something like that, then, you know, it probably needs to go to the planning commission, then it will come to us too. I mean, they'd have to wait anyway till we approve it.
So once an application goes in, then they've started.
I think if we want to get these new pending ordinances in place and we want this to be the future, if we wanted to hurry that up, we could have a special meeting. We could up our schedule versus just,
As soon as the application comes in to town hall,
oh, sure, if they were gonna
It
do it
starts.
tomorrow. I'm saying if they decided to wait a month and a half, and it, you know, our regular schedule is 2 months, we could up our schedule a month or so. I'm not saying it would stop an application that came in next week.
Yeah, well, I just don't think, you know, there's gonna be a whole lot of, problem with that with 2 months.
You're not gonna have that kind of action, I don't think, in
No.
2 months.
we've had a lot of stuff come through recently, but that's up to y'all. If you don't want to, that's up to you.
do we have any applications now that would have to be looked at?
Well, if you have an application now, it doesn't matter what you voted on tonight.
Yeah, if it's in, it's in.
Okay? What do y'all wanna do? We need to-
I'm afraid that this would become like a precedent that we do every time we have like a pending ordinance.
Well,
No, it would just be,
but you're still saying
No, I'm just
that
saying.
they couldn't start or do anything if it was not comparable to the newer one.
right, if you passed it, they couldn't start anything that
Unless
was
it was
against
the new
this.
one.
And y'all could have, there'll be a planning commission meeting next week, there'll be a public hearing, And then y'all's normal council meeting is going to be April 3rd. And you can have a council meeting as early as April 8th,
6 days apart, or?
6 days later.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, we want to step it up, but we're gonna have to, you know, I say we stick with the process, and we just, if we're serious about getting these things done, we get them done.
And I know I haven't looked at it in a while, could we just get a new,
Map?
yes,
It's in the back of your,
in this one?
it was in the back of the zoning ordinance, but I'll,
New
Oh,
book. Here's the new book.
this is my copy. Let me pull it up real quick.
Well, y'all want to have earlier meeting, is that what y'all want to do? I mean, and move it up and.
I'd love to get it done.
What's the possibility, what, that'd be April?
So you've already got a public hearing that's scheduled for March 12th.
Okay,
And at that,
they can vote on it then too? Then,
yes,
okay.
but we're going off that something's definite here, where something could change, even though it's planned here, and we vote.
Yeah, this is a separate thing. We're voting, or what's before us is something to kind of pause things until
Right, but
we
I'm
can vote on it.
saying, I'm just saying, could something change on what we're looking at?
yeah, I'll pull up a copy of what you currently have.
But, okay, if we want to move it along, we talking about, March, you said March 12th, and then we could have the first reading, 6 days afterwards, 7 days or whatever.
Is there any way we can get these big, they're just so hard to look at and really kind of study? I mean, I know I'm blowing mine up, but sometimes it's just really hard to see where the cutoffs.
Yeah, but that won't even have anything, I mean, if we get this done, they'll bring it to us, when if they make any, corrections or anything, any deviations or whatever, they'll bring that to us on the 12th. I mean, they'll vote on it the 12th, then we'll have it. Then we'll have 6 days to look it over, to vote on it, to us, to have first reading.
Well, no,
And then
we'll have like 2
another
weeks
6, 2 weeks.
for the first one, and
It's gotta be
then
7 days.
First one is 2 weeks, and the next one is 1 week.
6 days or something.
6 days.
So do we put out or invite the town to come and look at this, or?
Yeah, on the
Yeah, it's
12th.
a public meeting.
That's where the public hearing is next week on the 12th.
12, that's the one on the 12th.
The 12th is a Wednesday.
And then 19 days later, we'll have our first, when's the first April meeting? 13th, yeah, so we'll have three weeks to review it after the public hearing, and planning commission hopefully votes on it. And then we'll have roughly a week after that for our second reading.
What would that date be?
Can I
If
see
we,
the legend on the one that you got up now?
like the 10th, I think, would be the second reading of April, I think.
Here it is, it's up here.
No, it may have to be,
So it seems like what I was looking at, some of that stuff is, that's transitional commercial is just like splotched. I wish I could do that.
So the transitional commercial on there, they put a couple spots that are currently transitioning to commercial, and your future land use map shows that if someone wanted to, this is the area that's along Pine Street, that in your future land use, you thought over time that you could see commercial eventually coming to that area. And so the transitional commercial is moving in that direction. So anything that's along Pine Street, now someone would have to request a rezoning.
Can we go back over there? Yeah, what's that at?
Those are businesses are already cropping up on South Pine Street.
Do you think, let me ask you this, Patrick, do you think we could do without this right now? I mean, we just.
It's up to y'all. Some of y'all have had a conversation about some,
Then we're not gonna be covered.
ma'am?
Then we won't be protected.
Well, I mean, we got to do one way or the other.
The other thing is y'all could put this in place, and if something came up, you could always rescind it. And the thing is, if somebody comes in and wants to do something that's, against what your current, or your new zoning is gonna be, you can always allow that to happen. But what this does is if anything does come in, you're protected.
Yeah, but you don't want to get into saying, yes, you can do that, no, you can't, where you're not really following the ordinance, that you just keep changing it according to this one, or according to, okay, we change it, let you do this, okay, we'll change it for you to do that.
You decide that. I mean, so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to give you is just some insurance or protection. And if something does come up that you don't want, or that you want to allow that was in the old ordinance, you can change that.
I think I would rather be protected.
So what you're saying is you think you're right.
When did it change?
I'm always
2019.
Okay.
What we need is either a motion to table or a motion to approve.
You could either do, I mean, at this point, you either do a motion to approve, you do have no vote, and we'll just move on to the next item on there, or it fails. Or you vote on it and it fails.
Yeah. I mean, table it, I mean, we'd be, if you table it, it's been happened before.
Yeah.
Everything would be happened before it, bring it back up again.
You could,
If we approve resolution number 2025-02, then that means that if it's somebody applies for something that goes against the potential new zoning, it can be declined.
yes, sir.
Remember, it also means that they can be approved even though it's not consistent with
Well,
the past.
I would think.
The current
that
ordinance.
If it's not that long in between for somebody to wait however long we do to get it planned, they can wait 2-3 weeks.
I'm saying the new pending one could change And then they'd be locked in regardless, and they could do it. move
At
forward.
this point, the only people that can change what is on your screen right now is you.
And what's on the screen right now is the old.
No, this,
No,
What is on the screen right now is the new.
this is the new.
new. Okay. Let's hear it. Let's move on.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-02.
Okay, you just slide it over and let me see, look, keep it just shrinking enough so I can see it all in the legend at the,
You gonna go out?
you come in, so I'm just trying to see the legend, I can't,
Zoom out.
no, go.
The opposite way.
Opposite way.
Zoom
Other
out.
word.
I'm just trying to see the legend and the map at the same time.
All the way out. Get her that book. Give her the book there. There you go.
Thank you.
It's not much better, I know.
It's almost worse.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve it. I need a second, or are we gonna move on?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other question? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. All right. Okay, consider the resolution adopting fee schedule for zoning fees, yes, on the back side of one of them.
No, yes, yeah.
So what you have in front of you on your screen is what is proposed,
On the back.
and y'all had this back.
Thank you. No, no.
That's it.
This is what's currently in place.
I have one. So, I'll just, sorry.
That's what's currently in place. What you have in your packet is what I'm proposing is a little cheaper.
On the back. There it is, right there. Okay. Oh, a lot of difference. A lot of savings.
We cut it back, so I'm your zoning administrator now. Back at that time, RCI was. And based off of my time and what to do, some of the costs on there were a little high, in my opinion. And so kind of scaling it back to make something more realistic.
Savings sound good. Make a motion, we approve the new fee schedule, zoning fee schedule.
I said it.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the new zoning fee schedule 2025-03. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider entering the pre-construction agreement with Lyles Construction.
So what this is the riverfront project. This is something that the towns has on their comp plan, master plan. And I'm currently doing some research to determine the total cost of this project. But I need to know, is this a $5 million project or is this a $10 million project? Lyles Construction has worked with the town in the past. I value their opinion on there. They have offered a price for us to get a preliminary number on here. It'll be within 20% of what the cost actually ends up being. So the cost, just so you are aware of, for us to get construction documents to be able to bid this project out here would cost the town about $170,000. I'm requesting council pay about $3,000 for us to get a good idea of where this price is going to be. If this is a $10 million project, the town needs to scale it back. But if it's $5 million, I think there's a realistic place of for the town being able to acquire those funds.
So Lyles, would you charge us about $3,000, you said?
They charge us $3,000 just to evaluate the master plan, what's been proposed on there, and to be able to provide a number that'll be within 20% of what actually ends up costing.
Yeah, that's,
Is this something that Milliken would chime in on as well?
In terms of them paying for this?
Yeah, did they do any of, or they just let us,
You talking about the
Do
whole
it.
project or the?
yeah, as well, yeah.
I mean, they could pay for the Riverfront Park project. They may pay for some. I don't think they're going to pay the amount to redo the whole thing out there.
No, but some, I mean, are they,
This contract's not really to decide who pays for it, right? It's just to see what
Right, it's not,
it costs.
what we're looking at in terms of paying for this is there's an ARC grant of about $1 million. There is bonds that the town could issue for this project. There are mill tax credits the town can apply for on there. There is Land Water Conservation Act, Land Water Conservation Fund grants that we can apply for. And then there's also some money that we may be able to get from the state through Representative Moss.
this is just to get him to give us an idea.
I just need to know if we're requesting $5 million or $10 million.
Okay.
Well, how is he going to guarantee it's within 20% of the final cost? I mean, does he make up the difference if we hire him? How do we, it's just a get, it's his best,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an estimate, but it's going to be a lot better estimate than what I can provide for you.
right? Seems like a good investment for 3,000, considering the size of the project.
Sir?
Seems like 3,000 is a good investment considering the scale of the project.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the pre-construction agreement with Lyle's Construction.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the pre-construction agreement with Lyles Construction. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider a resolution to appoint Clark Taylor of CC&I as the code enforcement officer for the town of Packlet, 2025-04.
In the past, the way code enforcement was done is a report was filed or a complaint was made, and RCI's individual would go out, take a picture, document it, come back to town hall. We would send a letter out. That letter was received or not received, and then the officer would go out and write a ticket on there. This way, we are giving the ability for a specific person at CC&I to be able to write that ticket instead of our officers having to go out there and write that ticket. And then they will represent the town of Packlet in our municipal court here.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-04.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve Clark Taylor of CC&I as code enforcement officer, town of Packlet, 2025-04. Any other questions?
I just want to say, he's not going to get out and ride around like the other person did. is he?
Upon request.
Yeah, it's upon request. We have a list of stuff that's going to be out there, and what we're going to be doing differently. In the past, what we kind of did is we issued a lot of tickets. This time, we're going to be spending a lot more time with each individual property owner to try to figure out ways to solve the problems, not just generate as many tickets as we can. So he'll get out, he'll talk to people, figure out what it's going to take to be able to clean up the property, and then we're going to reserve the tickets for people who are absolutely refusing to do anything after they've been notified and given opportunity to fix things.
So they're not going to go in with any kind of attitude that they're, Mr. Man, and
One of the reasons we changed.
I know, but sometimes you don't know until it happens, you know.
But anybody, I mean, it's, another thing that's a misnomer out there is myself, you, a Girl Scout individual, a post office worker, a Amazon delivery person can come to your house and drop something off or come to your front door. Now, once you tell them to get off your property, at that point, they are trespassing.
I know someone can come in your front door, but they can't come to the point of demanding information,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
who they say they are.
And if there's any complaints, we will deal with that.
That was just ours.
Okay.
We're not getting a repeat.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Do you consider the first reading an amendment to business license ordinance for the town of Packlet?
Every year, actually every 2 years, the town of Packlet has sent information from the state of South Carolina to update our business license classifications. And that's what this is. Let me see, where did I-
This is a state-required update.
The state requires this. This is the second one that I have been a part of with the town of Packlet.
Motion to approve on first reading amendment to the business license ordinance for the town of Packlet.
Before we move forward, is there any changes?
Sir?
There's dates.
Is this considered
Yeah.
any changes from the previous, or is this?
It's mainly just the classification.
It's classifications.
Okay.
As new businesses come in, like for instance, they just don't have a butcher shop, or if they don't have, things get changed. There's different types of businesses that come in, like for instance, an escape room was probably not on the list before.
There's is it the dates have changed too? Like, did I read that on here correctly? It's not a great consequence, but
I don't think anything changes with the dates on there.
It is in the state schedule is based on those
okay.
years. Okay, we got a motion to approve. Motion made and approved, motion made and seconded to first reading, consider first reading of amendment to business license ordinance for the town of Packlet. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider the resolution to establish the October Glory as a official tree of the Packlet.
Where did that come from?
Tom, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. I love trees. So this seems like a minor thing, and to some people I'm sure it is. This is something we touched on at the annual goal setting workshop.
That's not it.
I can't take credit for the poetry. Patrick and I think AI had something to do with that. But there's been a talk for a while about using this particular tree amongst
Who's been talking about, I heard anything about it.
just citizens
Yeah.
about
Yeah, down yonder.
using a tree in public areas to decorate, and it really, it kind of means more than just liking a particular tree. I think that small steps like this can be taken to kind of energize the more tangible image of Packlet. You know, other towns, they have, you know, their official bird or tree or whatever, or flower. What I would love to do is to see the town jump on this and start adopting this tree, and Packlet becoming the place in the county to visit in October for the foliage. Again, it's a minor thing that can actually have some long-term positive effects. Doesn't cost us anything. It's just a way to kind of add some dimensions to our brand, I guess.
So we would plant these trees? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, when the opportunity arises, unless it's inappropriate to have a,
Arbor Day or something like that.
yeah, a maple in a spot, then I think it would be a great tree to kind of focus on.
We, years ago, I don't know, some of y'all, me and Tony and some of, a bunch of us remember Stone Street up there. I mean, you used to, it used to be all maple trees down through there, and it looked like you were in the mountains or something, and it was all maple trees up through there, and it was beautiful. And they all must have got a blight or something and died or whatever, but they were planted by the Milligan and back in the day, and they were here for years. And it was, and people did come to see it.
Yeah, I'd just like to see that again. And I think, the sooner we start, the sooner, we can see some, or our kids can see some mature trees and kind of see it. But we have to start, with something. We have to head in a direction.
So where will we plant these trees in?
Well, I don't think there's any plan.
There's no plans to plant anything yet.
This is
We did
just
look it up.
establishing
We're just establishing the tree, and we could plant them, as corridors coming in on number 9 coming in, could be on East Main Street, West Main Street as you're coming in, along the corridor, along the right-of-way out there.
Now, will we get people to for each tree, charge a certain price? Or we just getting the town to?
So part of this thing came from, and I had been talking, at one point, Mr. Williams had talked about doing some trees and establishing a tree, and the maple tree was pretty, and one of the things I'd mentioned was, in the last town that I worked in, on Arbor Day, the town got a big bulk amount of trees and gave them away to the community. And they could plant them in their yard, they could put them in their backyard and have it kind of like as a family tree. I think it'd be kind of neat to maybe work with the community and, if the town wanted to buy certain trees, for the cost of some of the bigger trees on there, I think you'd want to make sure that someone was actually going to plant them and take care of them and be there with them. But I think it'd be kind of neat that you could have a family tree that you'd plant somewhere, and every year the family takes a picture with their tree, and that's a tradition that's every year. But these are extremely beautiful trees, and when they leaf out in the fall time, they're very stunning. And if you had something like that throughout the community, you'd be known for it.
I have 3 in my yard.
I was just saying, I had one where in Clearwater, from where my background, and they actually just kind of glow, really.
When the sun hits them.
Yeah, when the sun hits them, it's like,
So April 25th is Arbor Day. I don't think we're ready to hand out trees, but I think it'd be a good program to maybe dip our toes in the future.
Now, with Arbor Day, the Arbor Day Association, you get kind of generic trees, so you get oak trees, pine trees, sweet gum trees, just kind of generic stuff, and they'll send it to you in bulk for free, I believe. I have to check back again on that. And then we can just give that out to the public. The only place that I could find that ended up having there is one place in Roebuck that has one. Other than that, we have to go up to Tennessee to get them. But a 15-gallon tree for $75. When you plant it, it'll already be about 8 feet tall.
It's pretty big.
do we have one Macklin anywhere already?
Except for her front yard.
Was that your tree on the?
Well, is that something Milton might could kick in on, because he was a tree lover?
Maybe we could get Stone Street replanted. I mean,
You could end up, I remember, not this past retreat, but the retreat before it, when all of you were there. I believe one of the items on the goal sheet was to line some streets with trees as a corridor coming into the community.
I think this would be a great idea. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I think we should plan something for the 25th, even if it's small and
Right.
unofficial, even if it's just the first tree planting and we picks just.
There could be a place up at, there could be a place up at the amphitheater around there. You know, we just recently had one Bradford pear that got knocked down in the storm. There may be an opportunity to put,
Yeah, more as a symbolic planting of this is the start. But anyways, I make a motion that we adopt the October Glory as the official town tree.
Motion made and second. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? All right.
Be sure to read the poem. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
would you like me to read the poem out loud?
Want to read it, Thomas?
Oh, hold on, let me find it here.
It's on the back. It's out
The
there.
poem.
Patrick, this was your doing, maybe you should.
Along the banks where waters flow, the Packlet River's gentle glow, October glory stands so tall, draped in hues of crimson fall. Its leaves reflect its in ripples bright, a fiery dance of red and light. The autumn air so crisp and free, a painted dream for all to see. Beneath its shade, the town takes rest, nature's beauty at its best. Forever standing strong and free, our October glory tree shall be.
Oh, man. All right.
Okay.
Any comments down there, Ms. Stark?
No comments.
Tom?
Just one brief one. Not a lot of District 4 updates, but I did want to point out, as I mentioned last month, the Satellite Depot, which was under renovation, it looks complete, it's beautiful. But I just wanted to add, I wanted to commend those on Planning Commission and Council that supported the rezoning of this property. The direct result of that was the property was pretty quickly purchased, renovated, and is now occupied. It went from a property that was blighted and empty and run down for years. And I know the rezoning was contested hotly at times, but I just want to encourage Planning Commission and Council to be proactive with stuff like this because the results are pretty incredible if we can address these properties. That's all I have.
Second. How about you? I'm good. All right. Okay. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? So moved.